In this short series on trigonometry, we're going to look at level 1 problems which deal with right-angled triangles, where we either know one of the angles or we're trying to find one of the angles. We have to give the sides certain names which are dependent on where the right angle is and where the angle that we are working is given. So the right angle always points to or is always opposite the hypotenuse. The next side we label is the opposite side, which is opposite the angle that we're interested in, whether we've got that angle, we're trying to find it. And the third side is the adjacent, and that is the side which is between the two angles or next to the given angle. When we are doing trigonometry problems, there are three different ratios that we will deal with. These ratios we get by dividing one side by another. When we divide the opposite side, the length of the opposite side by the length of the hypotenuse, that gives us the sine ratio. When we divide the adjacent by the hypotenuse, that gives us the cos ratio. And when we divide the opposite by the adjacent, we get the tan ratio. Now these ratios are very important, and you hopefully will have recognised the sine, the cos and the tan from buttons on your calculator. It's important that we can remember that sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse, that cos is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and that tan is the opposite over the adjacent. There are several ways to remember this, but one of the most common one is by the word so, ca, toa, where the first three letters of so stand for sine is opposite over hypotenuse, ca is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan is opposite over adjacent. An alternative way of writing this is like this. Might be slightly more confusing, or it might be simpler for you. You pick whichever you choose, but remember, it's important to know those ratios. There are three main types of problem to solve, and those are dependent on whether in this situation we're finding the angle, theta, the side A, which is the numerator, or the side B, which is the denominator. It doesn't matter whether that trig is represented by sine, cos or tan. That just changes the button we press on our calculator. What is important is, are we finding the angle, are we finding the numerator, or are we finding the denominator? We will treat the ones where we're finding the numerator as type 1, the denominator as type 2, and the angle as type 3. You'll find a worksheet to go with this video that you can do to practice some of the things that are discussed here. You can find the link in the description below. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Stay in infield with Winfield.